Hello everyone, this is Ponder on Weather. In this update, we're going to be tracking our next big storm system with another significant trough that's going to be building in out west and a coastal low that's going to impact the southeast. A strong cold front and a major pattern change is on the way. So I appreciate all my followers out there and my new followers. If you are new to the channel and like detailed weather breakdowns on North America and the tropics, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and notification bell to get all my daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. So let's get right to it. First of all, I appreciate each and every one of you that tuned in to the 7-hour live stream last night tracking this devastating impacting storms across Texas and Oklahoma and into Arkansas. You can actually see the numerous tornado warnings that unfolded last night, and we had some significant damage. The pictures are heartbreaking that's coming out of this area, with several tornado emergencies and several large, very large tornadoes that were on the ground that just had a lot of devastating impacts. In fact, the latest update from the National Weather Service now has up to 20 tornadoes reported so far, and I do feel like this number will even go up further as they will continue to do surveys in the days ahead. So this was no question a tornado outbreak last night, unfortunately. So what's happening now? So let's take a look at the overall setup on the satellite picture and take you out here into the tropics, because we still got actually tropical systems to highlight. We have another feature that we're going to be highlighting out here in the open waters of the Atlantic, but more concerning is out here towards Puerto Rico. This is an area of convection that's going to be possibly pinwheeling across and impact portions of the southeast in the days ahead. You can see our storm system has moved on. It's really cleared out of the backside in Oklahoma and Texas, but now the heavier rains and has moved on to Louisiana, back into Mississippi, coming up across into western Tennessee, through Kentucky and Illinois, all the way through getting into Wisconsin as well as into Michigan here. But then the atmospheric river is just kind of in full effect still, as we'll be watching another significant trough that's going to be diving down in the days ahead. But out in the tropics, we got two storm systems. In fact, this system out here in the open waters does in fact have a 50% chance of developing in the days ahead. But more importantly, this area right here has a 70% chance of developing. This is our coastal low that's going to be pinwheeling across, possibly impacting the southeast, because we do have a ridge of high pressure that's going to be building over the top. I do feel this is going to be helping the storm to develop, and if it does, it will take the name Nicole as another tropical system. So more importantly, let's take you out and highlight the SOI index. This is an indicator that I track a lot, and this is kind of feeds off the southern jet stream, which has been essentially not existent because we've been in a La Nina for almost, it feels like forever, right? So we're still in a moderate La Nina, but I'm starting to see beginning stages that maybe the La Nina has started to peak. This has been a noticeable drop in the SOI index over the last several days, and if not, it actually goes negative. So that's a significant change. I'm not saying the La Nina is going away anytime soon, but I'm just saying it's a possibility that this thing may have peaked and it's on its way back towards slowly building back towards Enzo neutral in the months ahead. So, but another significant change is this drastic drop that's coming in the East Pacific Oscillation, your EPO. Not only does it go negative in several days, but when it goes negative, it continues to remain negative all the way through the middle of November, extending into the third week of November. That's an indication once that cold air presses, it's going to keep pressing. And once it gets here, it's going to stay around. So let's highlight this. So let's take a look at the overall 500 millibar going into Monday. We actually have a ridge going to be building over the top in Alaska. So whenever Alaska is warm, typically the United States turns colder. So that's what we're going to see. So we're going to be seeing a significant trough that's going to be diving in off the west. We'll bring in more heavier rains and snow for portions of the western regions. There's our coastal low going to be hanging out off the southeast coast. And there's the ridge of high pressure that's pretty much still dominating much of the northeast, bringing those well above average temperatures. But underneath that trough, it's going to bring plenty of snow that's going to be on the table, moving back into Idaho, back into Montana, over here off the coastal regions. But more importantly, all this rain moving in, not just along the coast into the Seattle and Portland area, but getting into California and as well as portions of Southern California. So that's a significant change. We do have a subtle feature coming in effect in Texas again. So I do feel like more rain showers are going to come back in the picture for portions on Monday, extending into Oklahoma as well as Arkansas. And there's our coastal low just kind of hanging out there into the open waters as it's going to pinwheel across. But as we go into Wednesday, right? So as we go into Wednesday, that ridge of high pressure is really kind of building over the top. I do feel that's what's going to help enhance this system to develop. While at the same time, we've got some true Arctic air really building in Western Canada. This is the coldest temperatures of the season. They're going to be well below zero, and we're going to be looking at probably negative digits below zero into portions of Montana by the time we get into Wednesday. And that trough is going to be really digging all the way down into California again, bringing all those cooler conditions and more rain for California. So that's the big change. So you can see that significant trough still drags in all that colder air and pulls it all the way down into Southern California this time, as this little vorticity gets pretty close into portions of the southeast and going into Florida. So as we move forward underneath that trough, it brings the snow line further south. So now we're talking snow in Nevada again, going into Montana, back into Wyoming. You can see the beneficial rains coming back into Central California, Southern California. This is an indication with that negative drop in the SOI index. It kind of highlights that southern jet stream and gets it a little bit more active. So this is kind of rare to see, but hey, we haven't seen something like this, so we can take advantage of it while we have it. But we'll be watching that trough underneath that low pressure center that's coming in close to Florida by then. But by the time we get into Wednesday, I do feel it's probably going to be close to tropical storm status. And if it does get a name, it will take the name Nicole. And as we look at the latest icon, it's going to be tracking this cold front. And it's going to be a pretty good push. As the EPO goes negative, it's going to drag some of the coldest temperatures of the season into the United States with that 1041 Arctic high pressure entering the U.S. by the time we get into Thursday, as that coastal low will be probably making some sort of impact either into Florida or into the southeast, with nonetheless some heavier rains impacting those areas. And then we'll kind of have a squall line come through in the midsection of the country. But no question, we're going to have some colder temperatures on the table. So as we go into Thursday evening, I do feel that cold front will be making its push. So these are the temperatures as we go into like 5-6 o'clock time frame, and those temperatures are real. That's single digits, if not below zero, up there in Canada. So this is a pretty significant cold shot. But these are the temperatures as we get into the afternoon hours in Oklahoma and to Missouri. You can see these plunging temperatures. So this is some pretty chilly stuff, and definitely going to be the coldest air mass, at least feels like air mass of the season. And I think it's going to stick around a while. So here's the overall satellite picture as we head into Friday. So this is a fairly significant change. Look at all the moisture that feeds off the southern jet stream. That's complements of that negative drop in the SOI index. So all that does is help bring more moisture into California, where they desperately need the rainfall. But it does activate the southern jet. And I do feel with the ridge going to be building over the top, that's going to be helping to develop this system down here into the southeast. While further north, we could be looking at a fairly significant storm system, and probably some heavier snows are going to be swinging across portions of the Dakotas by the time we get into your Thursday, Friday time frame. But there's the cold front as we swing into Saturday. I think it does make it into Texas. It makes a significant push. Once this cold front pushes in, it's going to help push this coastal low and keep it into Florida and keep it into the southeast. It's not going to go any further north than this. So this is mainly going to be probably a heavier rain event I'm favoring a weak tropical system with this particular system, but some heavier rains into Florida, into Georgia, into South Carolina, and into portions of North Carolina, as well as into Virginia. This is all going to be a coastal feature, as that cold front will keep it pressed off the coastline. So back behind that system, we got plenty of cold air, and as it continues to push not only for the west and to the central US, but the significant change, some of that cold air finally presses eastward, and you bring some of the coldest temperatures you've seen in a while back into, some freezing temperatures extending all the way down into portions of Mississippi, going into Alabama. And overall, this will actually start shifting eastbound once we get towards the middle of the month. So underneath that, there's that coastal low by the time we get into next Saturday, with all the heavier rains spreading further northeast, getting pressed by that cold front that will be coming in. So that presses all the heavier rains along the coastal region. So areas into Delaware, into Jersey, back into portions of upstate New York, getting into portions along the coastal regions as well, into Massachusetts, into Connecticut, Rhode Island. All those areas should hit with some heavier rains from this system. But out west, this is a significant change. This is some pretty healthy rain amounts coming in for the first half of the week. I mean, look at that. Los Angeles is coming in a little over 2 inches of rainfall. San Diego gets into the action, about 1.3 inches. Oceanside 2.4. Riverside. So even Las Vegas gets into over an inch of rain, all the way up here into portions of San Jose as well. So this is actually some really beneficial rains and nice to see. And you go further to the north, back into San Francisco, about 2.5 inches. Sacramento, about 1.4 inches with these systems that's going to be coming across. So this is a definitely welcome sign of seeing 1 to 2 inches, more or less, widespread, at least along the coast, into California, almost for the entire state of California. So these are the overall impacts for rain amounts for the next 7 days, as we have that significant storm system building out west. It brings some beneficial rains back into Nevada, into Utah, as well as getting into portions of the Rockies. We'll have that system coming across in the midsection of the country, but the main impact is going to be the coastal low this week and in the week ahead, with heavier rains building into Florida, going back into Georgia, into South Carolina, North Carolina, back into Virginia, all along the coast here, up into the northeast, going into New England with those heavier rain amounts. And more or less, this could be in the form of some snow. But there's your wind impact from this system. So I do feel probably sometime on Wednesday that this system will become at least Tropical Storm Nicole. I know the GFS is going to be highlighting a hurricane. I don't feel like this becomes a hurricane. I think it stays tropical storm status. But the main impact from this system is going to be just the heavier rains along the coastal regions. And there's your snow impact, with plenty of heavier snow, with that colder air mass going to be building out west. And there's that significant storm system that could be impacting parts of the Dakotas with some extremely heavy snowfall. But what happens after that? With that continued push and the negative EPO continuing to push, the step down process is coming to fruition, guys. We started building this up about 2 weeks ago with this rare storm system that was building out in the West Pacific, and it was going to be a recurving typhoon, set the stage for the negative WPO with the trough systems. With the WPO, that's going to press the EPO, turning negative, and it's going to be a step down process. So now that we're getting closer, deeper into November here, this is what we look at back into going towards November the 11th through the 16th time frame, with all that colder air continuing to press from the northwest, and that step down process brings the colder conditions in the central United States. But beyond that, going in as we transfer into the second half of November and getting into that third week of November, that cold air going to be staying around a while because of that continued press with the EPO. And it's not just off the west this time. And like I mentioned, the pattern change would flip to the east, would turn colder as we get into the second half of November. And that's exactly what's going to happen. So, hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video. Definitely leave your comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Catch the latest update while I protect you before and after the storm.